Hey, what's up YouTube? We're back with another video today and we're going to be discussing shells in Marathon. It's been about a week now. Well, I guess we're closing in a week since the game has come out. These are my early game impressions of the different shells, kind of reflecting back to what I predicted was going to be like the top shells. Now that we've seen, a solid like 100 or so hours of gameplay, what are we seeing and how are they all filtering through? We're going to start off with solo play today and then move into group play just afterwards. Just heads up, the majority of my time is in group play, but obviously I've done quite a bit of solo play and I've been watching a lot of people and talking to a lot of people on what their thoughts on like how the meta is developing for like the average player and obviously the more sweaty and pro level of play. So let's get into it. So for solo play, starting off with Assassin, I think this one is probably the one that is the most talked about, especially online. People are just discussing like in solo play, just the average rat assassin running around with the double barrel. It's like just insane how crazy this class is. And I'm finding a lot of people in solos aren't really rocking crazy gear. So you're not really shutting down assassins as much as you normally are. Assassins obviously get shut down quite a bit because of their smoke. With thermals, if you have thermals, you look right through that smoke and you can really mess with them. The other shutdown class for assassin is the thief, because the thief's secondary skill on the right, they're like hacker vision where they can like see through like walls and see containers and stuff like that, highlights targets, and if you have line of sight with an assassin, can see an assassin while invisible. So heads up to your assassin mains out there, careful if you ever see a thief like with a glowing purple eye. Yeah, they're doing that to you, so careful. So yeah, assassin just incredibly good for like controlling engagements and just hiding. A lot of the time in solos, you don't want to be the first person to engage, and if you accidentally engage PvE, you can just stealth away and pretend like it never happened and find like a nice corner or a nice position and wait for the next sucker to run into that situation while they're dealing with it. Because the TTK is so fast, being invisible and popping out of invisibility to shoot someone is just so good. You have that like half-second advantage in a gunfight. You will lose so many gunfights to invisible assassins. It's pretty frustrating, but thermals are very good at countering them. So this may change because we did literally just get the thermal nerf. I don't think it's as like insane of a nerf as it maybe should have been. It's more of a nerf to like snipers, decreasing the range in which you can see them, but it still affects assassins and how good they are overall. So next we have the destroyer. I think the destroyer is one of those classes that a lot of people won't gravitate to at first, but I think as time goes on, they will see how high the skill ceiling is on this character, both because you have the Twilight Garrison like maneuverability with the thrusters, also the shield play, just really good 1v1 encounter taking with the prime ability. Just overall a really speedy, fast maneuver heavy character that even in solos, if something surprises you, pop that shield, back the fuck up, and get ready to get yourself around a corner so you can put your shotgun out. You can, with the good enough like reaction time, counter a lot of things that just surprise you in this game. Now, because the TTK is so fast, obviously sometimes it won't work out, but I do think that with enough skill, you can do some crazy maneuvering like mid like fight. Like the amount of times I've seen a destroyer like just hip fire their SMG or shotgun while dancing back and forth, jumping and then dashing occasionally to break like aim lock for controllers, but also just like break some ankles on PC players. Very high. You would be surprised. Next we have the best boy Rook. Rook feels terrible early game as far as like your 1v3ing, but as soon as you start unlocking like the shotgun upgrade or just like getting like more claymores, getting a bigger backpack, so on and so forth, getting those upgrades for your Rook, it starts to feel a lot better. I'm gonna put it like solid B tier, just because if you're a sneaky boy, you can do some insane things with claymores and that shotgun. You can definitely do some crazy 1v3. So good luck, but you definitely want to grab some upgrades, and this is where upgrading your traders, your faction reps, are very important. Make sure to grab those upgrade nodes at the bottom. That's where all the Rook upgrades are. So solos with Recon are just a bit awkward because obviously a lot of Recon's main like abilities revolve around team play and giving intel to your team. Yes, the prime ability can be pretty useful in solos for identifying where a player is, but because the way the Recon Recon pulses work, it's very easy to get confused with AI, especially when it's just one person seeking out person. It's not always to your benefit. Also, because of the way Recon's pulses work, if you get pretty good about looking at the pulses, you can kind of triangulate where the Recon is and when he's about to push you or so on and so forth. So it kind of works both ways. Yes, the Recon might know where you are, and I say might because he could be getting outplayed by some PvE that gives him the same indicator, but also the player that might be like waiting for him around a corner is going to both hear him and potentially see the pulses getting closer. So I do love the idea of Recon. I do think the spider drone is a relatively good one for pushing, especially with some of the better cores for like shrapnel and just better tracking in general. Or if you're able to destroy shields, you get like the footsteps to follow. It is nice for hunting down people that are running away from you. Solid B tier for that reason, but it's hard for me to want to put him higher, honestly, or her, sorry. Next, we have the Thief. Because the Thief has the ability to shut down an assassin and really good mobility, I really want to appreciate the Thief around A tier. The survivability of Thief is mostly down to your grappling, able to grapple well and grapple away from situations, or use your Thief vision to be able to deal with those pesky invisible assassins more regularly. Because you're kind of that shutdown class and you can get away from danger because of the grapple, it feels really strong. I'm not going to quite put it in S tier, but I'm like teetering on it. It's like A plus S minus kind of deal. The drone can be useful for scouting out engagements and just messing with solos in general, but it's not going to get that much use in solos just because you feel so vulnerable when you're using the drone. At least I do. So it's kind of a risk versus reward there. It might give you some better intel, but could lead you to some dangerous situations. That being said, if you do have the time to set it up, a claymore on your drone can be an absolute like cringe-worthy strategy, but it's insane in solo play. It's very good in like trios and stuff like that, but it's insane in solo play, especially if you can run up to that person as they're self-reviving after you down them with their claymores. If you guys don't know, take the drone out, it flies in just in front of you, put it nice and low to the ground, get out of your drone, put the claymores on it. What you do is if your drone is facing forward, let's say, you want to go behind the drone and put the claymores so they're facing forward, and then you jump back in your drone and fly it around until you find someone and kaboom. Just make sure that person's not too far away because a lot of people in solo play are running self-revives at this point. So, you know, it does benefit you to be pretty close so they're not just self-reviving and getting away and healing too much. So keep that in mind. Triage. Triage is a bit of a difficult one for me to place. Obviously, the heal drone is incredibly useful in the early game in solos, just for keeping you topped up and just having heals throughout the fight. But the team play component obviously is missing because you can't really use those drones. I guess you could throw them at enemies just to distract them and stuff like that, but it's not really doing anything to them. Your ultimate can be an interesting tool to like mess with enemies. It is like somewhat of like a, if you can get the 3 to 4 seconds to charge it up and then peek a corner, fire it off, and then peek behind without absolutely getting eviscerated, it can do some decent damage to people with low shields, but it's not like impressive damage. I'm gonna put it like B minus or so. It's not your go-to. I would mostly just say like it's for someone who just is very low on meds, and this is a way to get your med storage up and bring out more meds than you use. But other than that, I would probably recommend one of the other shells. Lastly, we have Vandal. Vandal, we're going to talk about more in the trio side of this tier list, but my problem with Vandal is that it doesn't really bring much to the table other than double jump in a lot of situations. The cannon can be nice if you can place it well, but it doesn't do like a crazy amount of damage. It's more for just like disorienting enemies, and it can be very nice for PvE for when they're coming out of the dropships so they're all like together. But the like sheer mobility of it just running around doesn't play very well in solo play. It's just too easy to get picked off. You're not moving fast enough to avoid gunfire a lot of the time, and you're just an absolute rainbow trail if you pop your ult so everybody's seeing you. Where the true utility in solo play comes from for Vandal is more or less learning where you can double jump or triple jump if you have that core up to high ground. Now, is that something that you could just do with another class? Yes. You start learning what, like, you know, because it's a Destiny game, holding spacebar so you can jump higher, learning what you can jump off to get to that same spot. The double jump is very useful for getting on top of, like, let's say algae roof and stuff like that very fast, but, you know, can you not just do that with like Thief scrapple? You can. So Vandal, it has a hard time, like, for me appreciating. I do think that there are things that are on the map that, you know, an absolute movement king, you know, someone who's played so much Mirror's Edge that it, like, you know, is ingrained in their head. You know, I could see someone like that learning all the best jump ups and just having crazy mobility and flanking and so on and so forth. It's just, it's difficult for me to recommend when you're not in a particularly advantageous position. Like, other classes have some way to get out of it, right? Maybe not all of them. My B tier classes don't really, but like Thief can, you know, grapple away. Destroyer has its shield and it has thrusters. Assassin has its smoke and its stealth. A lot of the times you're going to be surprised in solo play and you need to have something to react to it. And I just find Vandal just doesn't really have that going for it. All right, let's get into the trios side of it. Okay, now for trios, this is where I've been mostly playing. So I have probably the most amount of experience here. I'm going to be going off by my personal opinion, what I've been running into, effective tactics I've been running into, and just seeing what other people in the content creator space have been running and just like similar team comps. One thing I will say is that I'm trying to rate them as a group. What do they bring to the table as a group of three, rather than how do they individually perform in a 1v3 scenario, let's say. You know, I'm assuming that it's a 3v3 scenario. What do they bring to the table to help you in that fight? And how good are they for those team fights? So first, we're going to start with Assassin. Assassin's a difficult one for me to put just because of the prevalence of thermals, at least in the mid to late game, and Thieves on the map. A lot of people didn't get their chance to play Thief in earlier builds, obviously. So there's a lot of Thieves out there just countering Assassins. That being said, Assassins are terrifying with the shotgun meta at the moment. They are so good for just popping stealth, grabbing a flank, running up behind a team, and just eviscerating them, especially even in close quarters. Because I talked about before, you just have that half-second advantage over enemies. As you peek the corner invisible, it's hard for them to make it out unless they're a thief. You can just jump them and surprise them so easily. That being said, you're not going to see a lot of the top players running Assassin just because they do get absolutely shit on by thermals. And that's because your smoke isn't very good versus thermals. Your thermals, it will make you feel a lot safer than you actually are. So when you're going inside your smoke, you're not totally safe. You have to be careful. You can be like very much surprised and humbled very fast, but it's still scary. Like, as a player, I don't want to push an assassin smoke a lot of the time if I don't have thermals. So sometimes I'm just going to sit back with a thermal and just wait for him to peek out and think he's safe or go for a res or something like that. So that being said, I'm probably going to put a B+ for now, but I could see maybe some changes with more thermal changes in the future. I think they've done a good job with the thermal nerf overall, but it might not be enough overall for the health of the game. We'll see. Next, we have Destroyer. I think Destroyer is a fantastic class for team play. Very similar to what I was saying in solo play. They can just do incredible things mobility wise because the thrusters, sprint speed, they are very defensive oriented. They can protect you and your teammates very well. If you accidentally peek a corner and there's two people there, you have that shield, you can just back the hell up and you can ping people while you have your shield up. Remember that. So many destroyers do not ping when they're shielding. They're getting shot at. Use it like as a third party tool, like a third person tool to like line up shots or to like help coordinate team play or just to rush it down and your teammate can help, you know, mop up, right? Because usually most people are going to shoot at you and your shield. They're going to be so worried about you dropping that shield and shotgunning them. They're not going to be paying attention to your teammates that might be right behind them. So definitely a class, a shell that is very team oriented and has a very high skill ceiling because of the mobility and what it can offer as far as defensive play. And then its prime ability is just solid for team fights because it just gives you extra damage in a 1v1 scenario, maybe avoiding those trades as much as before. So just nice to have. Rook. Hey, Rook does some scary things with the upgrades, but in a team environment, he is just one Rook. If you run into a good team, you are cooked. But try to use stealth to your advantage. Use that shotgun when you get that upgrade and use those claymores, man. You unlock the claymores really early on. Claymores are disgusting. You can very much bait people. If you get shot, run into a house and then as you're running through that house, just throw down claymores. Like, you don't even technically have to like aim them correctly. Just like throw them down as you're running. And the amount of people that aren't looking at the ground while they're doing that, or like, you know, you're just like throwing them on the walls every once in a while, it messes up teams. I think I saw like a clip of someone like getting a 3v1 scenario and just like killing the entire team with a bunch of claymores. Hilarious. It's super good. Hilarious. Also, V11 punch. That thing's disgusting. Charge shot into some regular shots afterwards. I was like 1v1ing a Rook. He surprised me. He got the charge shot off first, but we traded because he got the charge shot off. Then I started shooting him with my M77 and I went to the ground. I was wearing purple shields. He had green on. So you could do some disgusting things with all headshots and that V11 punch. So good luck. All right. Next we have the Recon. My thing with Recon is that like individually, the Recon doesn't feel very powerful, but what it can bring to the team is hunting down that solo player, just giving you the pings, the awareness, the visual, and just helping your team. Like especially like a disgusting combo is Recon plus Destroyer. Destroyer runs in there, gets some downs, Recon finishes, pops alt, whatever, giving the Destroyer that like that confidence to push forward with their shield out or to push with that shotgun. It's just disgusting. The level of like the disrespect you could put on a team with like when you just know where they are, just pre-firing and it's just really good. It's extremely good character to have on the team. And then in a 1v1 scenario, you do have your spider drone. It can be very useful, even in those silly moments where it's just running around in a circle. Nobody wants to run into that room when the spider drone is doing that, just because it does respectable damage and overheats people. Also, let them do the TAD, let them finish on your team, like finish them off, finish enemies off. You will be very thankful because they will give you so much information. It's really good. All right, next we have Thief. Thief is a somewhat difficult one for me to position. I like Thief personally. It's probably my top played since the live game has come out. You know, I probably did my first 50 or so levels just on Thief alone. Really fun for just getting to high ground immediately, which is super useful in a gunfight. Your drone is very useful for just messing with teams, or if you want to be cheesy, you know, you can start stealing stuff and doing some claymores. But the vision really shut down assassins. And if you don't have thermals on your loadout, it can be extremely nice in those like closer range environments to just see through all of the bloom and fog and so on and so forth. It can be very nice, but it's a little bit hard for me to place because I do think it's a very useful individual on the team, but it's difficult for me. Like, is it more like an A- or is it more of a B+? I think you see a lot of people using Thief right now just because it's a very fun class. And obviously it's the newest out of the bunch. We've never really played with, you know, Thief. So I think you're seeing a lot more, and there's some gooners out there and there's some gooners, but I think like overall power to the team and what it can actually do is like somewhere B+, A-. I'm going to stick at B+ for now, but you know, we can get back to it after the tier list is done. Next, we have Triage. It's probably the most used. Like if you asked me, what am I most likely going to see on a team? Like out of 3 slots, like if you just have to ask me like a random 3 set of players, what class is going to be on it? Triage. Triage is like, I swear it has like 100% pick rate in 3s. It's so rare to run into a team that doesn't have a Triage. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. The drone is just so good for team play, especially in the early to mid game, like we talked about before, just for giving you so much healing. When you get the core, the purple one that gives you extra healing and it's more efficient, it's disgusting. Sharing buffs with your team, whether it be like cardio kick, antivirus, hardware, it doesn't matter. Just sharing things with your teammates is so nice. Make sure to get your tactical cooldown lower. It's really, 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 really good. And then next you have your prime ability. Your prime ability is disgustingly good. The amount of times your teammates just get thirsted immediately, and then like you're not going to go sit on that box because you're probably going to get killed yourself. But what you can do is get your teammate to like draw some attention or something like that and just prime the box even while there's a countdown timer on it. Like in a normal environment, you have to wait like 20 or so seconds to be able to walk up to them and then hold, you know, your interact button. But with the Triage, you can just go for that res, and you could even go for some team damage or double res. Like it's just a game changer. The way things can like turn around so fast in a fight is crazy. The amount of times that either I or someone has rezzed me, I immediately pop a Panacea kit when I get up, and then within like 3 seconds, I'm full HP and I just got rezzed, and it completely turns the tide of that fight. It's so good. Just an insane character. And then when you have more than one, you just have infinite drones, and you just start like ulting each other as you go down. Like we ran into a team of 3 triages, and it was so hard to take them out because every time we would kill first one, you know, and we're like kind of running after another one, the other one would just go and like res his teammate, right? And then all of a sudden now we have a new guy to deal with. Like we ended up having to kill like, I think a total of like 5-6 individuals because of they just kept rotating ults on us as we were like, you know, dealing with this guy, then we had to deal with that guy, and then you just got res, the first guy got res, and it's just like, oh my God. And you can do some absolute sniping with it. So yeah, it's insane. I still think, like my early predictions, that Triage will probably lose some amount of like picking, just as like people value like the Recon more, or valuing Destroyer just because people are getting better at the game, or maybe some more tech comes out or something along those lines. I could see Triages getting picked less over time as things change, but it's just so nice to have a Triage that you just see it picked all the time. It's just so good. Okay, lastly, we have the Vandal. Yeah, I'm going to be putting Vandal in C tier. I don't want to quite put it in D tier. I don't think it deserves to be that low, but Vandal just doesn't bring much to the team other than personal gain of high ground and the arm cannon of maybe like pushing people around and doing some decent damage with the arm cannon. I do think the arm cannon is pretty cool and you can do some neat things with it. It's just very rare for me to see it be used in like some crazy advantageous way. It's nice. Like the double and triple jump can give you some high ground, great, but like I said, like you can just get that with Thief and then have some other really good skills, like, you know, aside from that, and just be able to loot more efficiently with Thief. Vandal, it's more of like you're playing with 2 players and then you're playing the solo oriented class. And then that's ironic because it's not a very good solo oriented class because you will get punished in a lot of situations just because you don't really have anything to react to things with like other classes do, you know? So it's a tough placement. What I've said though is I don't think it is in like dire straits of like needing a buff. I do think it's somewhat like the Destroyer where you need to learn the map, you need to learn what you can get away with, when you can get away with it for those crazy flanks and like getting high ground and things like that. Because you can get some absolutely disgusting angles and rotates that people just won't expect because you can walk out of a building, double jump into the second floor and just completely surprise someone. Can you do that with Thief as well? Yeah, but it's on more of a cooldown and it's a little more like audio heavy, so it's like easier to know when a Thief is doing that, for instance. So like I may be being a bit rough on Vandal, but I do think that like it just rarely brings a lot to the table. It is what it is. We will be live on Maplewood_TV on launch day, both on YouTube and Twitch. Just remember, not on this YouTube channel, on my second YouTube channel that I use for streaming, Maplewood_TV. You'll see it linked right there. And yeah, come on by the stream, just ask questions. I can't wait to grind it out. If you're looking for some content in between now and then, we're going to be doing some ArcRaiders Expedition Wipe. I'll be playing it throughout the week until Marathon's release. So consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Much love, YouTube. Have a good one. Peace.